Oh my goodness. Welcome everybody to Choice Change in Action podcast. Woohoo! And we are talking about an awesome topic, and I am at an awesome place to be talking about this topic today. We're talking about horses, and specifically, I think Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider, a class that's offered by Access Consciousness and some specialty facilitators with that, who I have two of them on here today, these glorious people. Welcome, Alison and Sarah.
Thank you.
Hello.
So I yesterday I was on another call and I was raving about you guys, and I think I'm just like this fan club soft stalking, whatever we want to call it. It's actually a threesome. Well, it's a foursome if you include me. And Mr. Cody Law is the third. He was busy today. He's off doing something different. But what I'm going to do, either in between or at the end of this podcast, is I'm going to put a little clip up here because I want to talk about the three of you. And let's talk about Cody first. So Cody is a cowboy. That's the best. He's a cowboy. And I met him because he works on Gary Douglas and Dr. Dane Heer's ranch in Blytherville, Texas. He's a cowboy, and he's so sweet and he's so kind and he's so empowering. And I just love the way he is, not just with horses, with all animals and with the land, etc. Now, he's also been asked, he's in 1883, the TV series, and now there's a Yellowstone off-spin, and he's been asked to be on that too. So he's getting super busy with that. So I'm going to show you a clip and where he is at the end of this. And so you can get to meet Cody as well. But here's my description is doing a Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider class with the three of you, I think is such a gift. And for me, it's like Cody is such a cowboy. He was thrown on the back of a horse, I think before he could walk, sort of thing. And not just like, oh, the horse that's calm, like, Stallions, any horse, like go, run, do this, So he's incredibly capable. He's been in many, 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 many different situations. He's been in competitions. He's, run ranches, like he works with cutting horses. There's a whole lot of things that he does and is good at. And what I find when I hang out with the three of you, his level of empowering to me is incredible. Like I've worked with other trainers before, and I have a horse plumer in Costa Rica, and I've worked with another trainer before who, what I realized was I would ride and think, oh, I can't ride without him there. And that was what was sort of an implanted point of view into my world, that I can't ride this horse unless he's there. Whereas Cody is like, go. But he knows what you're capable of, and he'll push you to be that. Like he won't buy the lies and buy the bullshit, right? Then you've got my good friend Sarah Watt, who has she's got a few horses now. She's got some over here in Costa Rica at Alugar, and she's got at her home in Tasmania. And I think it's only going to be months before she has more than 2 horses at her property in Tasmania. What I've noticed is Sarah has her own podcast. It Talk to the Horses, isn't it?
Let's Talk Horses.
Let's Talk Horses. And she's had some really cool people on there. I've listened to those, but I've also started following those people on Instagram and just seeing different advice and different tips and techniques, etc. With horses. And what I've noticed is, because I hang out with Sarah a lot, it's like the conversations I've had with her, she educates herself so much on the horses. But what I love about it is she's not buying what everybody else says as this is what I must do. She takes it, receives it, integrates it. If it works, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And then she also very much bees in question with her horses. I love at one stage seeing these videos of her sitting in her paddock with her computer and just a chair and just hanging out with the horses, which I'm going to ask you some questions about that soon. But just being with her horses. And that's one thing that Sarah has very much taught me, is just to be with my horse. Coxie, Alison, you're a different breed as well. And this is what I love. The three of you are so friggin' different. Alison, if anyone knows Alison, you'll know what I'm talking about. Your glorious, tenacious ability to be so chaos and out of the box and out of control is such an invitation to go, I can do that. Because I've heard you tell stories. I've ridden with you, been in class where you go, I didn't even know how to do that. And then you go, blah, 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 blah. And you tell this story about how you actually achieved it, or even something completely different than what you thought would show up. So what you gave me, which was just a massive gift, was knowing, give it a shot, give it a try. Just be in question, like go with that energy. And I'm so grateful for that, Alison and Sarah and Cody, who is currently busy being a cowboy. So I'm grateful for the three of you. And thank you for being here. I am going to say that they have a Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider class at Elugar, which will have all the details in the show notes. It's in October, and I'd love to invite you to that. But now I also want to ask you guys some questions about horses. So number one, either of you can answer first, is, do you remember the first time you actually interacted with a horse?
Go, Alison.
I think, well, I may be making it up in my head, but I don't think so. Like,
we don't have fact checkers here. It's okay.
I'm fact checking myself. Probably when I was like 3 or 4, like just getting to meet horses at like the circus, I think, or the zoo or something. And I just became obsessed with them. But we weren't exactly a family that we lived in the suburbs of the Midwest, and horses weren't part of that world at all for my family, except they were such a part of my world. And I had no idea that being obsessed with them, and I just drew horses like every day, and I made my family stop on the side of the road to see the horses like anytime we saw them. I had no idea that that was going to become an actual, like, actualized dream in the future, and I could still hone that first meeting and first obsession now from then.
Do you remember what, because the way you talk about that, there's an energy. Do you remember like what that energy is? How did it make you feel, you and your body?
Gosh, like, you know, when you just melt into something, like, I don't know if I'm a weirdo.
Yes, you are. We all are, but that's okay.
You know, when you just like sink into such gratitude for something, or like my dog's right here, like I'll just like sit in with her and just like look at her and just be like, how are you real? Like, you are so beautiful. And being with the horses then, who knows, like, I don't even know if I could put it into words, but just receiving the, I guess I'll use the word like majestic, powerful energy that the horses were, and being around that was like, you know, watching goldfish all day, or being in the forest all day, or just like being around this energy that was so big and kind and like calm and fulfilling, I guess, like nourishing, and just so much gratitude is the best way I could describe this energy. Like, and alive, like there was an alive energy, even drawing the horses. Like as a kid, I could draw them so well. People were like, what the hell? I'm like, I don't know. Now I'm like, maybe I had been around horses before. But just even drawing them, it was like being in this whole universe, like actually being with the horse, connecting with this energy of horses.
I love it. Sarah, what do you recall your first engagement interaction?
It's interesting you asked that question, because I sort of asked that of my podcast guests as well, but I've never actually thought about it for myself. So it's interesting to think back, because I have some very clear memories, but I know there were times before that. I mean, my grandparents lived on land and we used to visit them a lot, especially, you know, my mum, I'm very similar story to Alison. My mum and dad separated when I was very young and we never had any money. So what's the one thing you choose that you're never going to be able to have? Is
one of the most expensive horse things in the world. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think probably visiting my grandparents' property, I distinctly remember a guy across the road had a horse. One of the first times I ever rode was, you know, friends of that side of the family. He had this big grey thoroughbred, and, you know, a lot of trainers and people, when they're first training a horse, will lunge them. And there's kind of stages of lunging. And a lot of people think, you know, you lunge with nothing on, and then you lunge with the saddle on, and then you lunge with a rider. And I was like, I must have only been 6 or 7 years old probably, and they plonked me on the back of this huge thoroughbred while this guy lunged it around. And I remember just being like so out of control. And you know, a lot of like what Alison said, I just remember this kind of obsessed energy where I couldn't draw, but I would buy every book and magazine. Like I'd go to the library and just look at the library books of the horses. If I could get my hands on a magazine, like that magazine would be just like dog-eared all over the place. But one thing I just want to mention here, I'm actually so glad we couldn't afford horses when I was young. Because I think there's something, I was thinking about this yesterday. I'm like, if I'd have grown up with horses, I think I would have turned out very different now than what I have, because I think you go down a very, and maybe not, like obviously it probably would have turned out, I would have ended up where I am now at some point. But yeah, in a lot of ways, I'm grateful we didn't have the opportunity to have horses when I'm young, because I think it would have set me on a very different path than the one I'm on now. So yeah.
I thought the same thing. I'm like, how did we get so lucky, or how did I get so lucky to be so stupid for so long, and then find Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider, where like the not having the horses for so long and finding Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider was the fast track to being a conscious rider.
Yeah, and for me, definitely Gary Douglas was very much a fast track for a lot of what I've discovered with horses. But just quickly as well, because I'm in my early 40s now, and in a lot of ways I'm like, dang, like, is it too late to be like a great rider kind of thing? But I was listening to a podcast a couple of days ago with a lady she's like, I didn't get into horses till I was in my 50s, and I was like, yes. And like, because it's like, it's a very physical activity, and to be a good rider, I think you've got to have quite a good relationship with your body, and have a body where you're very in tune with relaxing and having supple but very strong muscles. So yeah, I was chuckling at myself about that as well. So there you go.
I was just talking to Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness and the creator of Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider originally. And because I've been here a few days now at Elugar, and I've ridden twice. Yesterday it rained for like 15 hours straight. But the first day we rode, like you said, like it's different muscles. The first day we rode, we went riding. And then they went to go down this other road, and my body was like, we are done. And I was like, oh, wait, no, I want to go back now. And so we went back, and then Hugo said to me, he goes, do you want help getting off the horse? And I went, no, I'm good. I just need to have a minute to figure out how I'm going to do it, because my legs were so sore from riding because I hadn't ridden since the last time I was here. So it does take a different muscle. But I also get, one of the things I was talking to Gary about is being in communion and being in question with your body. And years ago, I would have ridden longer just because everybody else was doing it and to prove something, rather than, a couple of days ago, I was like, no, my body was like, no, we're done, and to actually stop and follow the energy, and not, about getting it right or judging it, etc. Which is one of the things that Gary always says is, everything he learned from a horse. Sarah, I know that you also refer to that. Is there anything in particular that just pops into your mind that you have learned from a horse that you think you could never have learned any other way?
Well, like, I think back over my life, and probably the residing like energy or place I function from has always been a place of like high energy. Like I was I was ADHD before ADHD was popular. Like no one ever called it that, but I remember the school was like, we don't know what to do with this child. You need to take her to see like a child psychologist. And my mum did, because she didn't, back in those days, she didn't have the tools either, right? So they were literally like, we don't know how to handle this child. So I was always like a million miles. I was never allowed to eat red things or sugar, or like, it was like, she can't. So my mum would be like, don't feed her this, don't feed her that. Otherwise you're going to be in a world of, pain with her, climbing the walls and blah, blah, blah. And I think probably the thing that stands out the most to me right now is how much my horses have shown me peace and space and this place of like finding the quiet and actually enjoying it. Like I used to think, oh my God, sitting still and being quiet was like torture, because I grew up in a very havoc-filled world as well. So it was obviously my way of like just trying to deal with the environment I was brought up in. And I did, like we said, I didn't have access to horses back then except in very small doses. And in that moment, I'd be so excited that I also wouldn't have that moment of appreciation where they really function like most animals, really, but especially animals that spend a lot of time in the wild, like out in the wild. And, as much as possible, my horses are free to do whatever they want, to choose when they're inside, to choose when they're outside, to choose all of that sort of stuff. And I think they've shown me that, like, to appreciate stillness and quiet and just being present, and really not just for the stillness of it, but to really realize and acknowledge how much is truly going on when you're willing to just stop and be present and listen. Like, it's almost like more is happening.
Yeah.
You notice more than you do when you're in that really kind of havoc-y sort of energy.
Well, Gary, as if anyone knows Gary, in the way he's relax, right? And I was having a conversation with him today about that, and I was asking him some questions because I'm like, I tend to do this like here or here, and I was like, I know that there's something else. And he said to me, I'm not going to be a source for you for this. You have to be your own source. And I was like, what if I pay you? And he's like, but it was really cool. We were mucking around, but I said to him, I sat out in my veranda after I was horse riding today. I went, I'm so tired. And he said, are you tired or are you relaxed? And as soon as he said that, I went, oh, Elgar is showing me relaxation, and so are the horses. And I've had these yellow butterflies flying around the front of my room for like hours. And I said, after this podcast, I think I'm just going to go outside and be with those butterflies, and then go up and be with the horses, and just have that energy of like, not what I have to do, to just be. And Sarah, you, the other day when I just arrived here, I recorded a message to you, left you a voice note, and I was like, hey, can you help me? Like, because all the horses were there. I haven't seen them in a while. And Pluma, she's a mare, and she was doing, mare ears back further than I've ever had them before. Like, it's really that energy. And I can't remember the way I asked you the question, but I went up to her and I was listening to your voice message, and you were talking about how most of the time, because these horses are in stables too, when people go to them, they want something. They either want to go take them out, work them, they're there to feed them, or they want to pat them, etc. And rather than flipping the energy and just being there for them, can you talk a little bit about that? Because it was so beautiful. And as I was listening to your message, Pluma just came over with her ears up, and she was like, right in front of me, and I was like, damn.
Yeah, and I'll be as quick as I can, but also I'm so glad Gary said that
quick.
to you.
I can talk about horses forever.
Okay, so, and I'm waking up now, which is good. Just quickly, I also wanted to acknowledge Gary for him saying that to you too, because there's like so many lessons my horses have taught me that if anyone, because like you said at the start, I've learned a lot from different people, but my horses are my gauge of like what actually works. Because I used to take what the trainer told me and apply it to my horses without any question about, does this actually work for you guys? So now they're kind of my barometer. And sometimes, and that's why I love having a very full toolbox, because one day one thing might work and the next day it doesn't work. So I think that what I've learned in life, I've learned from my horse, is such a valuable thing, because they'll show you things that I don't know, there's somewhere where you believe it from them. It sticks, it actually sinks in. But yeah, I guess I was saying, and something else my horses have taught me a lot of, is we tend to approach them with expectation of some sort, a projection and expectation. And I follow Warwick Schiller is probably my most, like, the trainer or horseman that kind of aligns with how I see things the most. And he talks a lot about just going and sitting in the field and doing this, like, no agenda time with your horses. And he was talking about this lady that was in his clinic, and he talks to everyone about go and spend time with your horses with no agenda, and eventually they're going to come up to you and they're going to want to spend time with you. It's inevitable, that's what will happen. And this lady was like, well, I've been doing it for 6 months, and my horse comes over and he stands with me for a while and then he runs away. And he's like, yeah, but you already have the expectation of what you, so it can be like the most minute thing. But if there's anything in our world, they know straight away. And I mean, the horses in Costa Rica, and the other thing as well is, like, you've got to look at the culture of that place too, right? And it's not about making how people are with their horses wrong, but it's about knowing what that horse has been through, right? Like you said, you haven't seen her for, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, something like that. And in that time, what's gone on for her? What has her day-to-day life been? And mostly from what I've seen there is the people come to put food in their stall. The people come to take them out and exercise them. And every now and again, someone will walk around and want to pat or interact with them, which isn't a bit, horses don't generally like to be patted. Like there's not many horses in the world that are like, pat me, pat me. Like sometimes if you like find the right spots, but most of the time.
No, and she's in a position right at the front where her stall is, and because she's got one blue eye, one brown eye, like her color.
Everyone's like, look at the,
like, oh, look at her, and they always put their hand out, and she just goes, what?
No.
Yeah.
I don't imagine if they came up to you and went, look at your beautiful blue eyes, let me touch you on the fucking face. Like you'd be like, it's the same sort of thing. It's like, you imagine going on a first date and you've just met this person for 5 minutes and they're like, oh, you have such a beautiful face. Can I touch you? You'd be like, oh my God, dude, please give me my personal space. Like, yeah. So, I mean, there's so much within that. There's so much within that. And there's so much that can build such a good relationship with your horse when you start to really acknowledge those tiny little things. And I guess the thing I can say to people is meet the horse where the horse is at. So look at like, what has the last 5 months been like for her? And if it's been like this, be like, hey dude, I'm just here. Whatever you require of me, whatever I can be for you, I'm here for that.
I noticed the second time riding today, like, and they tend to like ride the same route. And so, and I can tell, like, there's spots that I can tell, I know where she does this round work. And because she immediately went, oh, this is my job now. And I was like, no, it's not. And I said, hey, I wanted to go a different way. So we just went all over the property, but in different ways and different routes, and just, you know, stopping where I want to stop, or going around this tree, or back down here, or whatever, and just being different with her. But thank you for saying that too, because I also get being different in the increments that we can both receive, rather than everything you've done in the past 5 months is not just because I wasn't here or there wasn't that, whatever it is. It's like, it's what can we be together today, but not this habitual. Like you could feel the habitual in her world, which would, if she's here and they're looking after, it's like, I don't know, a Tuesday she gets taken out, or Wednesday, you know, like having that thing. And it's like, no, like when I take her out to get grass, and Indalecio had his horse today, like that one that he rode, and I said, do you want to come and get grass with me? And he was like, yeah. His horse was just like, damn, this is my lucky day. I don't think I've ever been taken out here to get grass.
Oh,
it was so cute. But yeah, but it's for me, it's like that. I mean, you spoke about that level of peace and relaxation, Sarah, and that level of being really present with each and every moment, and what's occurring, and what can you be with it, and not to make anything wrong and not to make anything right. Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't want you to fix them either. It's not like going in and being like, oh, you poor thing, you've been in a stall for 24 hours for blah, blah, blah. They're not like, oh, you're here to save me and fix me, please. Like, no,
she loves their stall.
They're doing their thing. They're doing their thing. But it's like, what can I actually like bring here for you? And, you know, they're highly emotional animals too. Like a lot of things I've learned recently is, and I never get the word right because it's a very long, I think a German word, anthropomorphication, something where you put human emotions onto horses. And you know, a lot of the time it's been, you can't do that. But in a lot of ways, we're mammals and we function, horses and people function in a lot of ways very similarly. And they're quite, I would say that we have a lot of similarities with our sensitivities to things, like the things that we care a lot about and that make us feel good and feel happy. Horses share a lot of those things with us too. So it's also about like acknowledging how much they share a lot of, like, you know, you call them emotions, but you know what I mean? Like those happy vibes, like the good feelings, like the scary feelings, the anxious feelings that we get, they also get too. So it's also like, you know, when you're out on that ride and you perceive their world starting to tense up because she's expecting something to happen, it's like, oh, what would I like to feel in this situation? And I use the word feel because it's easy to comprehend, but what would I like to feel if I was approaching a scary situation and I had this friend with me? Like, what could that friend give me that would make me see this situation as something better. And yeah, I think we can provide so much for them without having to try very hard too, and not having all the tools and the bells and the whistles. It's really very simple in their worlds, which is what I also appreciate.
The simplicity. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Alison, what's one of the tools recently that you have gained? Like what one of the awarenesses you've gained from being with your horses?
Yeah, well, just being at Gary and Dane's ranch last weekend, we only had 2 days of riding, which I was like, only 2, that's not enough. But lo and behold, I learned a whole universe of things.
Right.
There's this one horse out there that I've ridden pretty often, like not every time, but we've kind of, she has taught me everything. Like, her name's Peaches. Cody oftentimes has me ride her, and she's been everything from like really calm and sweet to insane to bucking me off to all kinds. I'm like, wow, I have learned a lot from her. So last week I got to be the wrangler for the horse rides for the first time by myself, bringing everyone out, and I was like, yay! Hopefully I won't kill anyone. It was really, really cool, and it was I was put with Peaches this time, and I got on her and she was like not calming down, and I'm like, why? I'm relaxed. And I'm like, wait, am I really relaxed? So that relaxation thing, and also the zone, there's a thing that we talk about in Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider called the zone, and riding from the zone. You can read the Talk to the Animals book, and there's a section in the back that just speaks about it beautifully that I read again. Like, when you ride from the zone, which is this almost like physical space, there's infinite space, and then there's like everything, and then there's like a zone that the horses and people and anything that has a body really love to function from. And they're really, when you find that spot, there's a peace and calm in the horse's universe and yours. And the horses love to ride from there. Stallions have huge ones. Like alpha mares have pretty big ones too. And then it can be anywhere from like 1 mile to 6 miles. It just depends on the horse. So you find that zone, and
Can I stop you for 1 second?
Yeah.
How do you find that zone? What would you say to people?
I would say, like, check on your body. Well, number one, you can just ask, where's your zone at? Is it collapsed? Could it be bigger? Is it good? Where is it? And expand out. See if you can expand your energy out to that spot. Or I call it, like, you could also just relax and just kind of perceive where that space is. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be precise, like it's 5.5 miles or kilometers or whatever. But just kind of, it's a knowing, which is annoying because I can't give you guys like a quantifiable thing.
No, but what I notice is what I know I used to do this, and I've seen other people do this too, is when you're on a horse, you're literally like watching where the horse is walking. And you're like, you've got this like 1 meter radius around the horse. And I notice if I'm like, oh, and I'm here, and it's like, no. Okay,
yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they've existed on the planet for like millions of years. And the one thing they're great at is walking upon the earth. So it's so funny how we're like, are you okay? Are you okay? And it's like, oh, they've been doing this for a little while.
Yeah. Right. And they love to feel the earth with you. So if you're, contracted in your head, basically, if you're thinking about problems, if you're doing it right, if you're like starting to tense up because your horse is moving, you're probably not expanded out into the zone of peace and space that your horse is comfortable with. They're like, what's wrong? What do we need to do? Why are you? That basically means danger for them.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So today when I was riding, I actually was really asking for, asking for this, like, okay, tranquil, suave, like slow, like let's just ride, let's be together. Because she spooked twice today. Plymouth never spooks, right? And I was like, dude, you're okay, I got you. You're like, and I will use that a lot. I'll be like, hey, it's you and me, I got you. Like I'm looking out for you too. And every time, I think I'm answering my own question. There was like a few spots that I was like, okay, we're not running, we're walking. She would go, oh, and she'd start to run. And I was like, I said not running. And I was like, is it because I'm like actually haven't had the word running in my head? Like, or, she does not understand the not, like this
they
is
really
not.
don't. Yeah,
no,
they don't
they hear the word
not or no. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you could think walk instead, or
Well, do you know what I ended up doing?
What?
Because my brother used to do this to me at Christmas time when we try and guess each other's Christmas presents, and he would go dead rabbits, dead rabbits, dead rabbits, because then that you think about dead rabbits. So the last part home, instead of going not running, I was like dead rabbits, dead rabbit. In my head, I was like dead rabbits, dead rabbits. Dead rabbits.
That's amazing. She's like, what the hell?
Yeah, where's the dead? Is that food?
That's great. That's so cool. Well, like to interlude another little tool in here that is like magic. Like Sarah was saying, a lot of things can happen when you haven't been around your horse for like a few months or a week or a day.
Or a day.
Yeah, 5 minutes and something happens. And so like horses can get projected on so easily and expected upon. Like different people's points of view can be impelled on them. They'll suck them up. And so every time you see your horse, like every day, you can destroy and uncreate or like get rid of the projections and expectations placed on them. Even if you have a great trainer or someone that's taking care of the food or the water or cleaning the stalls, who knows? Like people don't even know what's in their head that's being projected onto the horse. So even from things that they don't even know about, like they don't think that they're projecting on the horse some kind of weird thing in their universe about spooking or running in different places can be projected on the horse. So destroying and uncreating all the projections and expectations is huge, which we talk about a lot in the Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider. And then, you know, having that connection with the earth, asking, like tapping in, and it sounds like you have to think about a lot of stuff, but it's not. Like once you just, it's actually like a being of all of this stuff. And once you kind of click in, it's like, it doesn't mean you just get to go to sleep and not be aware and your horse isn't going to spook and things won't happen, but you're going to be a lot more prepared to work with your horse than just reacting with your horse. So there's that. And then Peaches, like she really taught me, I always thought I was pretty relaxed, but you know, you said on that thing yesterday that we were on, like when you're riding by Alison, like, why is my horse running? I'm like, yes.
Well, no, I was riding. I'd say, maybe tell the short story so people get it. I was riding with you, a whole bunch of people, right, out the back, and I have an admiration for both of you in how you ride and how you be with horses. And like I said, the beauty of you two and Cody is the difference, because you're not the same. There's nothing, you know. So, but we were riding, and in my head, I was like, "Oh, how does Alison ride? Like how?" And I was like looking at like how Alison rode, and then Pluma was just like, and just wanted to go up, and I was like, "Why the fuck did she just start running like that?" And you said to me, "What were you thinking about?" And I went, "You." And you went, "Well, that'll do it." I was like, "Okay," but it was great. I gained the awareness of it, you know.
Yeah, and the cool part is you don't have, like, you can ride that way at one point, and also you can choose to be something else completely different the next. So I was in charge of the wrangling, like leading other people on horses, and it needs to be safe, you know, like people need to be aware and I need to be aware. So I can't just blast, you know, let's run into this group of people. So I was like, okay. And Peaches was like, wah! And I would have been okay with her just walking around being hyper myself, but I'm like, what else is required here that I'm not being, that maybe I had never, it was a level of relaxation that I never knew I could be, because the moment I was like, wait, is there another like level or layer of relaxation I could be, and I just allowed my body to be in it and expand it out in her zone, she completely stopped. And like Peaches never stops for me anyway. Like we're always moving, but she just stopped. And I practiced, like every time I would be this energy of even deeper relaxation, or with that, she completely stopped. And we had the most peaceful, like after the rides, I thought I bored everyone to death because they were so peaceful. Like the rides out at the ranch were just calm and really slow and really great, and completely different from, you know, a ride that I might take. Or so I had to get rid of my points of view too about what a good ride is, and what if like all different types of rides are like fast or slow, receiving everything, or maybe you're going to have a ride that's a little bit more than you can handle. What can you learn then? What if, like, it's just so cool, all of these different things that you can choose from and be.
And who you're riding with, it's like all of it goes into it. I love that. Like what actually is the definition of a good ride?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Actually, today I was also running the processes of who, what, where, when, why have I decided I am riding a horse.
A good one.
Being a dad is time to go see and right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all 100 shorts, boys, perverts, creations, bases, and beyonds. Thank you for that conversation too. I now know one of my requests I'm going to ask for at your Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider class is a level of, I'm asking for more relaxation with and on my horse than I've ever had before.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Because I
amazing.
get you can be that, because I think people go to, oh, relaxation means you're just sitting on your horse and you're walking. Could be. It could be bathing her. It could be running.
When your horse is rearing and you're still relaxed.
Exactly. Yeah. I'll have that. So I have been watching some of, what's his name? Warwick Schiller as well. And I follow random people on, my Instagram algorithms, I think, are horses and recipes. And and I follow some random people. I was just watching one guy and he was saying how, when you have a good ride, and a lot of the times people will just go pat, 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 and like pat the horse's neck. And he said he was riding and he went, hang on a second. Every time I have a good ride, I do this like slap on her neck. And he goes, that's not a signal to a horse that's a good ride. That's more like a warning, So he was saying how they would prefer more like this, like, like rub your hand on the withers or something like that, because that's what another horse would do. And having a look at how other horses interact with horses and like be that energy of another horse, rather than we decide, oh, pat, 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 that means great. He said, I was looking at it and he goes, I can imagine if I did that to my partner after I had sex and just went pat, 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 pat you on the back, good ride, you'd be like, what the hell? Like, I was like, it's such a, like, there's so much logical stuff to it as well. And there's one other thing I want to talk about, and I'd like you guys to expand on this or any of the tools you have is, and this happened today, is Warwick was talking about like, don't stop all the time where every other horse is stopping, because then your horse is always going to go, well, I need to stop when the horses stop, not stop wherever just because you and your horse are stopping. And also when you want to talk together, he said most people will ride along each other and talk like that, or they'll stop and they'll point their horses to each other and stop and talk like that, whereas horses aren't used to that. And today there was 3 of us and we stopped, and there was this moment where the 3 horses' heads were right each other. And I was watching Pluma going, how's she going to be with this? Because I know she didn't like one of the horses that much. And then it was like, I don't know, however many seconds. And then she just went and like, reared up and out of the thing and that. And I was like, okay. I was like, I knew that was about to occur. Right. And it's like, how would you say to interact with people on their horses when you're on a horse too? Like, what are some of the tools that you would suggest?
Yeah, like, again, interesting point of view. They have this point of view. I know a lot of people, like when I'm training horses, and some people like to come up and just talk like this horse is totally not green. They're not including the horse in the conversation. So I have to include I'm like, don't worry, I got you. This person's yapping. Or sometimes I'll like have to energetically kick someone, like, shut up. Can you include the horse? It depends on the person. But yeah, that's really fun. I love that tool, like, shut up. But anyway, you can also, like, you can be the leader of the energetic bubble, really, and include all of the universes, like all of those people, all those horses.
Tell me about energetic bubble. What do you mean by that?
So kind of like the zone, like if you are riding in an arena, do you only include the arena, or do you include the space beyond it, or the round pen or something? Do you include all the cars and here we have like coyotes and birds and people walking dogs and all these things that if we're just in the arena and I wasn't expanding my zone or energetic bubble out to all of those things, my horse would think that that's like danger. I didn't include that as this is safe. This is peaceful. You don't have to worry about it. So when you're riding with people, like everything I learned from a horse. Oh my God. When you're with people that you want to kind of like put a barrier up to, or you can perceive people's separations or barriers or just this not communion thing, you get to be the leader in expanding, kind of flowing into that so that your horse knows oh, that's not dangerous. That's not gonna hurt you. This is just an interesting point of view. This is like an invisible dragon that we're okay with here.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Sarah, do you have anything you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I would say watch horses in the wild. Well, not in the wild, but watch horses in a herd that are hanging out together, and they'll never stand head to head because the dynamics of a herd are always watching and being aware of what's going on around. So, if you observe horses in their natural environment, being not in stalls, preferably, but in stalls they'll do it as well. You can still very much observe this in a stall environment, but it's much easier to see if they're out in a field together, and watch how they position themselves, because generally they're going to position themselves in a way that they've got a 365-degree view of what's going on around them, and they take it in turns of really resting, or a few of them might rest at once, but there's kind of always, everyone's aware, but there's kind of a watcher usually. So I think if you're having conversations with people, or you're in a group with your horses, I'd be inclined to just, like you said, not put them in situations where it's not really conducive with what is natural to them, and expect them to just be okay with it because that's what we want them to do. And then, a horse acts up and they're like, oh yeah, my horse is a mare, she doesn't like this, or something like that. And it's like, well, actually, you're kind of putting your horse in a situation where they would perceive it to be quite dangerous, because all of a sudden, like Alison said, the zone and the bubble has closed right in. Like, who's keeping an eye out for the coyotes and the and the dragons and the all those sorts of things? So yeah, I think really the way I see it is, when you're with your horse, no matter whether you're riding, just hanging out, doing groundwork, you become part of the herd, the energy of the herd. So you've got to be a good herd member, right? Like, a good herd member is one that is like what Alison was talking about, super aware of everything, including all of the energies around you. But horses really appreciate safety. They appreciate feeling like they're not going to get killed, because they're a prey animal. So they don't kill anything except the grass. Like, or if something comes in and they get a chance to kick it or stomp it, they probably will. But they're at the bottom of the list of things. Everything eats them. They don't eat anything else. So they're constantly geared to survive. Like, their whole life force is one of like thriving in an environment where everything wants to kill them. So yeah, I always try to be, what would being a good herd member be? Like, what does my horse require of me, and where can I make them feel safe? And that is like all of these tools, because all of the tools of Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider, and that's what I love about Access, because I love Warwick Schiller, I love all of these different horse people and what they teach. But what I find is, you take that and you add consciousness, or the tools of Access, which really are consciousness on steroids, then the whole world starts to open up. And I think horses very much function from like the highest level of consciousness. Like, everything is energy, everything is included, nothing is judged. They don't know what judgment is. So yeah, it's really this space of like, and like Alison was saying, like, where can you be that energy with them, know what they require. And if there's someone like blah, blah, blahing in the background, be willing to go, hey, can you just shut the fuck up?
I do that. So if anyone's listening to this and they're coming to class here, people go out and they go, oh, I'll go for a ride, Simone's going out and I'm going to chat to her. And I go, no. That's not happening. You want to talk to me? Let's have a cocktail in the bar or something, but not here. And quite often I talk to Pluma all the time, and I also sing to her. And someone will ride past and go, what? And I go, I'm not talking to you.
I'm talking to my horse.
It's pretty rare that I actually talk to someone. If I'm talking to someone, it's about our horses. It's something about riding. It's not like, hey, what are you doing the weekend? I'm like, I don't give a shit what you did on the weekend. It's like, we're riding.
Yes.
Yeah. So
okay. I would just like to say too that like, horses are so cool. Like, I just know with my horses, they're like, hanging out with people, and you personally co-creating a creationship with a horse is gonna bring out the weird in all of you, like both of you. So like, some horses might be okay with the strangest thing. Like, it's not natural for us to strap a saddle on a horse and then jump over things and then like all the things we do with a horse is not natural. So they
Mhm.
are like, you can also ask if you're not sure if your horse is happy in a situation, like, hey, how are you? Does this work for you? Is there anything that I can do for it to work for you? You don't have to automatically go to, protecting your horse all the time. You can start to like baby steps, like adventure into a different possibility and just see if it works for the horse that time. And if your horse says no, like, no. And if you like, then just take them out. Like Sarah said, like get them out of there. You don't have to force the horses into anything, and you're going to have a lot happier horse and a happier ride.
I think that's a really key element. Thank you for the, reminder of that. It's not about forcing your horse to do anything at all. So yeah. So just to end off here, guys, because we could tell horse stories like for hours and hours on end. To end off here, I wanted to ask you both: is there something memorable in a conscious horse, conscious rider class that you've either been to or facilitated that was a takeaway? That you was like, wow, that just occurred, or something for someone or someone else, or a change in the horse, anything. Anything pop.
Pop for you, Sarah. I'm like, so many. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, I think probably because in the moment you're so just present and being the space for what the horse requires and what the person requires. I think probably what always blows me away is the feedback that you get after the class. And I think a lot of the time, sometimes it's like with a lot of things, you don't kind of almost realize the change until afterwards, because I've seen so many things in the moment, and the trust exercise is something we do in conscious horse, where you really get time to have a very physical communion with that horse for a period of time, where you get to lay down over them, they're bareback, and you're really close in a physical sense, and you see a lot of change there in the moment. That's always a really, really awesome exercise. But what I'd say is, like, it's the moments after the class, and where you think, because conscious horse, conscious rider, people are like, oh, well, there's no use in me going to that class because I don't ride horses, I don't have horses. But I guess probably the thing that blows me away the most is what these classes contribute to people that they never thought they would get from it, kind of thing. Like, they might come in with I want to be a better rider, I want to be less afraid of horses, I want to feel okay riding a horse, or even leading a horse or touching a horse, and then they walk away with like universes of change. And I think that's,
can I say, like, a lot of times I've sort of looked at, okay, I'd like to be a better rider, and I think it was 2 classes ago, you were like, hey, who wants to learn how to halter their horse? And I was like, not really. And then I went, hang on, I so enjoy haltering my horse now, like going in and just haltering her and then taking her out on my own, or even every day I take my saddle off, or I undo it and do it. And like, it's something so little. I never would have gone, I want to learn how to saddle my horse, but I enjoy it. Like, all these little, and I get what it matches for me is that ability to be with my horse, which I wasn't looking at that. So I think there is a lot that comes from it. And can I just say, if you are listening to this and you want to come along, please do. We'll have all the details in the show notes of being able to register for this class. But it's from the 15th to the 17th of October. And what these guys are doing, which I think is brilliant, is we have the class in the morning, you have lunch, and then we get to go riding in the afternoon. So you actually get to institute a lot of things. And I learned so much by choosing that and doing that, and also riding different horses. It was such a gift. What else was I going to say? Alison, I was going to ask you, but it was something else. Anyway, what's one of your takeaway memorable moments of conscious horse, conscious rider?
Oh my gosh, like Sarah says, like, just number one, like the change that people get, and watching even little kids, like a lot of people bring their kids and they think that they're going to the class for their kids, but really then they change so much too. But watching the kids and the parents and the grownups and the people that are there for the horses, and also have no idea why they're there. They're like, I fell off a horse when I was 3 and never got back on. I don't know why I'm here. They learn so much about themselves, and also they get to start to tap into the world of horses. Like, if you think about, I know before I really got into horses, like, I thought a horse, of course, until I started finding out about their different personalities. I'm like, wait a second, you guys are all different and you have personalities. This is awesome and hilarious. And God. So there's just all these really cool things that people get to find out about themselves and the horses. But one of the weirdest things, and I've talked about this on a couple other things, I mean, the coolest, weirdest things show up with the horse bodies and your body. You never know what's going to show up. But this one horse in Mexico with this beautiful lady, Sophia. Hi, Sophia. She had we got to have a conscious horse, conscious rider at her place. And like her horse always got these allergic reactions on its body every year, like crazy horse fly allergic reactions in the skin. She just like didn't ever know what to do. It just never really changed. So lo and behold, we had a conscious horse, conscious rider class there. And we started, I didn't know like exactly what to do to change this. It wasn't even really in my agenda to get the skin to change, but we started like tapping into what the horse knew. Like, okay, what's up? What would you like to talk about today? What can we acknowledge about you? And all this entity thing showed up, and in particular, this entity who had been the grandmother of the place who created this beautiful horse place was hanging around. You know, the horse knew she was there, but no one else was really talking to her. So we got to acknowledge the horse's capacity with entities, the dead grandmother, dead quote unquote. Everyone was like in tears, and then this big beautiful butterfly came and landed, which was the same butterfly that was at her funeral. Like, they're like, that's her. We're like, oh my God. And you know, we said, hey, you know, these guys are going to promise to take care of this land. They're going to, you know, they got your back, and they'll of course talk to you from now on. The next day, after acknowledging all of that and the capacity of the horse's skin was completely different, like almost 100% gone of reactions. And then the following day, completely gone, like the most shiny, beautiful coat you would have ever. Yeah.
I love it. And that's just having a conversation and being in question and finding out, okay, so what is this? Yeah. Love it. It can go in so many different ways. I recalled what I was going to say too is, if we're talking about this and you're just like, man, that's not what I want to do. I don't own a horse. I don't ride horses. I don't play with horses. It's a class about so many different things. There's one friend of mine from Melbourne. She was terrified of horses. And she was like, this fear is real, you know. And I actually love and adore her because she didn't want to be held onto by the fear that she had decided was hers. So she attended a conscious horse, conscious rider class with Gary in Texas many, many years ago, and got on a horse and rode and like touched a horse and everything. And it changed so much for her. And one of the things that she got a lot from it was, I guess, like these leadership skills, which what you've both sort of mentioned on how to be with you, with others, with the horse, etc., and not to try and control anything. It's like allowing those possibilities to show up. So I do get horses can show you so much more than what you think they can. And Sarah and Alison and Cody, I am so grateful that you guys are doing this class again, and I will be there with bells on, or maybe not with bells because the horses might freak out, but you know. So thank you for being here today on this podcast. Yay. And thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to say to the listeners before we leave?
I'm blank.
Well, I mean, look,
yeah,
we could literally stay here for hours, and because I'm like, oh, we didn't get to talk about this. We didn't get to talk about
this. I know.
So,
well, maybe we could do another one. We can do another one. Because I want to tell you my stories too.
Yeah, I know, right? Like that, because you start talking about the entities thing and then being the energy. Anyway, yeah. So yes, let's do another episode. And what I'd say is, if you can't make it to Elugar, I mean, you're crazy. Please get there at some point. But also look up and see if you can do a conscious horse, conscious rider in your part of the world. And then also myself and Alison travel a lot. Like I'm booking, we're in India later in the year. I go to Taiwan. Next year I'm going to Hungary, possibly Peru. So if you want us to come to you as well, like make it happen and see what shows up.
Yes.
We have passports. We're ready to travel. I keep mine in my wallet. Just
you have horses. Do you have a passport? They're there. All right. Well, thank you so much, guys. And I look forward to seeing you at Elugar. And this afternoon, in about an hour, I'm going to go be patting your horses and saying hello to your horses.
Give them both a kiss.
You're so grateful.
Yeah.
My handsome boys.
Exactly. All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.